So, although the overall NASDAQ market did end up closing slightly in the green, why is big tech like nvidia still closing in the red? What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Techman Solutions. This video is going to be super short and sweet, but I want to talk about this negative descending pattern that we have setting up on nvidia. Lower highs and lower lows. nvidia is literally the most valuable company that's publicly traded at a $4.36 trillion market cap, and it just hasn't been performing well. It looks like it's running out of fuel. Especially with the NASDAQ market and its very sharp recovery today. I mean, you could just see the performance for the past week to week and a half. It's almost been a V-shaped recovery. We haven't really made new highs from yesterday, but we're testing and right back at where we were right at market open. So this is where we were during the pre-market session. NASDAQ market sold off and literally all day made very steady progress, making its way back and closing literally at almost the exact price that it was trading at during today's pre-market session. So although markets are not selling off as a whole, they're also not showing signs of progress. I want to ask you guys let me know down in the comment section, based off of what you see going on with the market right now, do you and will you consider buying more now, or are you still waiting for things to kind of clear up because of the uncertainty and potential downside risk, right? Because when you look at companies like nvidia, again, it's just all day. What it literally did was it sold off, it tried to recover, but then lower highs and lower lows. And that was also the story the day before. There was also news that was shared earlier today. NVIDIA's CFO admits that the $100 billion OpenAI mega deal still isn't signed 2 months after it already helped fuel the AI rally. So you're telling me all of these AI partnerships, OpenAI partnerships that NVIDIA and AMD and all these different big Mac 7 companies are signing are all based off of a pinky promise? On top of that, if you also see a following article, it says MIT reports 95% of generative AI pilots at companies are failing. So my question to you is, we all know, and this question has been presented before, these companies are investing billions of dollars every single quarter into AI. And if the return is not what was or is expected, because at some point investors are going to want to see a return. And if the return is not what investors expected, is what we got a taste of today with the NASDAQ market selling off based off of the idea that Microsoft was possibly going to start investing less into AI? Is that how overall markets are bound to react? And that kind of presents the idea of this AI bubble. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I still think that at least in comparison, AI itself can be incredibly useful. But I feel like there's a huge disconnect between companies that are investing so aggressively and so heavily, and they're projecting things before they even get factored in. Maybe it's just me, but as of right now, it just makes no sense on how markets are still trading at these elevated levels, especially when there is so much uncertainty. The thing that I also wanted to share with you is, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard the news that there are a series of companies like Costco that are suing Donald Trump for his tariffs, declaring them illegal and demanding a full refund for raising prices nationwide. Now, a lot of you guys know that right now the Supreme Court is supposed to decide. We might find out mid-December, there is no exact date, or early January of 2026 to get a better understanding if Trump's tariffs are legal. But I feel like Trump has kind of been on a campaign to try to sway the American people of convincing him of how great these tariffs are. First, he began to bring up the $2,000 stimulus check that, we're making so much money that we think that we're going to give back to Americans. And if you make under a certain amount of money, you're going to get $2,000. Obviously, the average person that doesn't really understand what's going on would be like, sure, I'll take $2,000. But we all know that it's not free. What happened the last time that we opened up the money printer? Well, Ricky, it's not based off of the money printer. It's all this money that we're making, the billions from tariffs. You guys understand that it would cost at least $650 billion to fund these $2,000 stimmy checks. We haven't made $650 billion off of tariffs. We've made about $200 billion, if I'm not mistaken. And that's if they're legal. On top of that, you see him saying that, federal income tax should soon be replaced with record-breaking tariff revenue. And this is the part that really frustrates me, is because of course we would be of support of this, but if it was done right. But now I feel like it's just being used to kind of be held above our face to convince us of yes, let's keep these tariffs. So if the Supreme Court, and according to what I've seen, there's a probability tool, a 75% probability that the Supreme Court is going to vote against Trump's tariffs. And the way that I see it, and a lot of people are talking about it, is that he is on a campaign right now trying to convince the American people by these $2,000 stimmies, by the no federal income tax. So if the tariffs do get rejected, he then points the finger to the Supreme Court and says, look, they're the reason that you don't have the $2,000 stimmy check. They're the reason that you have no federal income tax. Well, not necessarily, because in the first place, we didn't have the stimmy check and you didn't get rid of federal income tax when that was what you campaigned on. You campaigned on creating these tariffs to get rid of our federal income tax. But this hasn't even been brought up until the idea of them being removed. So now I just feel again, we're being dragged along, being swayed to believe him, to support him. So if it does get rejected, then again, he looks like the good guy. Just my 2 cents. You guys let me know down in the comment section what you think. With that being said, I also wanted to follow up with BTC. BTC on the 30-minute time frame, again, a huge push up from the lows of 80,000, and it seems like this was sparked because of the end of quantitative tightening. So now we will see if Bitcoin can sustain these elevated levels, or if it breaks support at 90,000, we have another leg down. And be careful, right? For all of my people that watch me trade live every single morning or have been wanting to, this has been a big focus for me. Every single day, I'm paying attention to Bitcoin, not because I trade Bitcoin. I don't like Bitcoin. I don't care for it. But it moves MSTR. So if Bitcoin begins to fall below 90,000, I know that as Bitcoin begins to fall, MSTR will begin to dump as well. And that's one of my favorite stocks to short once price action supports it. So I'm setting my alerts, waiting for my criteria to be met, and ready to take action. So again, if you guys want to tune on into my live trading session tomorrow, you don't have to, but if you want to tune on in, we go live right at market open, and it's the second link in the description down below. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. So whenever it is that you feel like you're ready, again, we'll be there right at market open for our live session. I appreciate you guys' time. Hope that we're in a thumbs up. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.